Hey everybody, Jen Hatmaker here, your host of the For the Love podcast. Welcome you guys. Welcome to the show. Oh dear. Oh gosh. Today's a big one. We're wrapping up our series for the love of dating, sex, and relationships, which I have loved. Gosh, I learned a lot. I found this entire series so fascinating that I think we stretched it to 8 or 9 episodes. There was just so much to talk about. I've really wanted to honor you and this commonality we all have in navigating kind of all of this under a big umbrella, just the general stuff of relationships, which we all have, dating, which some of us have, marriage, which some of us have, sex, divorce, all of it. Like there's a lot under this like big heading. And so I truly hope that you found some friends in some of the experts and voices we brought on for this series, and that you felt some kinship with others who were maybe experiencing the same spectrum of feelings, whatever that may be for you, wherever you're at in your life. I know I have identified with virtually every emotion that we discussed in this series, and the good, the hard, the bad, the messy, the loss, the rebuilding, all of it. So that said, I am excited about our last episode for this series because it involves a person who has become very special to me. I understand that I am in that sort of early, happy, giddy, romantic stage. I get it. I hope you can tolerate it. It's admittedly gross sometimes. But it has been a real hot minute for me since I've had any of that. So whatever, man, bear with me. Bear with me if you can. I thought it would be super fun to wrap up this series with a chat with me and the man I'm currently dating. He and I go around and around on like, what do I say? What are you? Because like, we're in our upper 40s. Are you my boyfriend? He says yes. He's like, that's what we say. We say boyfriend. I'm like, okay. Anyway, however you want to call it. It's Tyler Merritt. I'm thrilled to introduce you to him right here in our little pod space. He and I have been in some other people's spaces together, but this is the first time that Tyler has been in our podcast world. And so, yay, right? We get pretty real here. We talk about some stuff that surprised even us. So hold on tight. It's a good one. And I hope you'll find this episode as much of a treat as we did recording it for you. So let's lay this groundwork first. When I first announced our relationship on Instagram earlier this year, like at the very beginning of 2022, this is what I wrote. I said, I didn't need Tyler to heal my broken heart. Me and Jesus did that on our own. He isn't a missing piece. I'm whole. And so is he. I'm learning what it looks like when two whole, healthy people fall for each other without the pressure of fixing or completing the other. And it's an absolute miracle. That's what I said. And you guys, I still feel that way today. I mean, honestly, more so even now. He obviously has met my kids and my friends and my parents and all my siblings. And we're going to talk about that. And he's been on the porch with us till the wee hours of the morning. I've been in his world with his friends and his places and on the phone with his mom. And it's been amazing. And we've also had some really hard conversations. We'll talk about that too. I mean, you don't spend 9 months with a person, especially at our age, especially long distance, without really having stuff to work through. That's just life. That's relationships. I was just talking to a friend this very morning who's been married for 20 some odd years. And she's like, oh, we're still working on it. I'm like, yeah, that's just togetherness. That's just relationship. As you can imagine, a girl married for 26 years, dating a never been married guy, among some real obvious other host of differences, has, provided us a lot of moments to kind of talk deeply and really listen to each other's experiences and understand a totally different perspective from the one that we have come from. And so we've traveled a lot and we've grown a lot. We've come closer to each other. And honestly, even I feel like I'm closer to who I'm meant to be. as I'm practicing so many new things in a new relationship as an adult. You know, the last time I dated anybody new, I was 18. So it's interesting and fascinating and kind of awesome to watch 48-year-old Jen do it, right? Like this is who I am now, and this is what I bring to the table, and it's completely different, and it's so wonderful. And this journey and this relationship and Tyler has just meant everything to me, and I'm so grateful. Now, before we get into it, some of the questions we're going to answer here came straight from you guys, and I love that you care. So here we are, giving you the most honest answers we possibly can, and thanking you for letting us have this really candid conversation with you. And absolutely do not sleep on this interview, because we do our version of the Newlywed Game, although we are not wed. But it's hilarious, and you're going to want to see that. Also, speaking of see, you might want to see this entire interview. Tyler and I recorded this one in person at my house. And so if you want to hop over to YouTube, you can watch this conversation, which I promise you, in this case, is how you want to take in this particular episode. So that's on my YouTube channel. And you'll see Tyler and I yucking it up and in my office and laughing. Later on in this conversation, we hold up signs. I'm just saying it might be worth watching. Anyway, this conversation's delightful. He is delightful. And I am tickled to bring you my conversation with my favorite guy, Tyler Merritt. So this is Tyler and Jen, and we have not pre-discussed any of this.
None of it.
So
this is all new.
Not a single question, not a single answer. We don't know what's going to happen here, guys.
No, we don't know how this is going to end.
I don't know what you're going to say, frankly.
I'm going to say the best things.
Okay. So these are questions written to us by the interview team. So I'm just going to read them and then we're going to answer them. All right.
Do you know the questions?
I mean, only precursory. Like it was like a quick glimpse through, just enough so I could figure out.
This is brand new for me, but not brand new for you.
Well, I'm just telling you, I haven't looked at it in 2 months. And so, okay, here we go. So many of us have followed your journey with Tyler on social media, but can you walk us through each of your perspectives on how you met specifically? We're going to start with you. Right before you met, were either of you looking to start a relationship?
Let's start with you.
I said you first. This is my podcast.
Jeez.
Going back to that time frame, were either of us looking to start a relationship? And we're forced to be honest. That we get to be honest.
Forced to be honest. Honest. The answer is, in my case, 0. No, was not. I was not looking to date somebody. I wasn't on a dating app. I wasn't, if we're keeping it like 100, I was probably like, I'm just going to be a bachelor for the rest of my life and just chill. So no, I was not, wasn't.
It's so interesting. Why did you think that you were what was it in your life or what you wanted or didn't want that made you think I'm just going to be a lifetime bachelor?
You did a podcast recently where talking about being single, right? Yeah. Right. I watch your podcast.
Thank you.
And I mean, it's just kind of that simple. Like, I'm just happy.
Yeah.
I'm just happy. And then I also have a really great community of people around me that are also single. And so I just wasn't thinking about it. And I also was one of those individuals that wasn't scratching at the bit to have kids.
Yeah.
And I have friends that are very male friends that are that way, that are like, I want kids at a certain age. I want this. That just it hasn't been me. And so honestly, I'm too busy. And I don't know, I think that's a bad excuse. It wasn't that I was too busy. I just wasn't trying to be in anything. I just wasn't looking for it.
Yeah. Which makes sense. You've never been married. And so it wasn't like you had this history that you were pulling from or replicating or in any way. And it had been a really long time since you've had a serious relationship.
13 years.
Yeah.
I hadn't dated anybody for 13 years.
Yeah. It's
like half the amount of time you were married.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Math.
Yeah. Yeah. I was not in the same space as you. Although like that very night, it wasn't like, this is the night I'm prowling the city for, single men. I guess my entire adult life is kind of predicated on like a locked in kind of relationship, like a heavy, big commitment, this build a life together. And so I think whether that's what I know or that's what I love or some combination of both, which I think is probably more true. I think I was ready. I think I was ready what I was ready for was dating, I think. That was what I hadn't done yet. And so it's not like I'm going to go look for a husband.
Right.
It was more just like, I wonder what it would be like to go on a date.
So wait, are you saying you were ready for dating when we first met?
Yeah.
I believe that. I believe that. Because I believe that you were ready for dating when we first met. I just don't think that you were ready to be dating me. I do believe that. Very much so.
Let's get into that. Okay, Tyler, what was your knowledge of Jen before meeting her?
I had a number of friends who were big fans of Jen. I had a handful of friends that were big fans, and I had began to know a little bit more about her. Okay, let me say this. I knew who she was because I remember her and I both worked with a company for years in different ways. And I remember when she was basically, this company got rid of all of her books, decided didn't want to have anything to do with her. It didn't occur to me though that was who Jen Hatmaker was, but I knew that person. I just didn't realize it was Jen. But a handful of my friends, some white women friends, were big Jen Hatmaker fans. And so when I went to go write my book, they were like, when I wrote my book, they were like, your voice sounds a lot like Jen. You guys would get along. Your stories are kind of weirdly kind of similar a little bit. You write the same. You need to see if she can read your book. And so then I started leaning in a little bit and kind of getting a little bit familiar with who you were. But I still didn't really know. And then one day it clicked to me that you were the girl that got like canceled before canceled was. I was like, oh yeah, I know her. That's her. And then I kind of started getting familiar with what you stood for, and that we had a lot of the same like intertwined causes. Yeah, but I still wasn't like, when we actually met, I still like had to get a tutorial of who I was meeting,
Jen, had you seen Tyler's work? Were you familiar at all with him, and any impressions you can remember before your meetup? I remember, like, for sure, I remember seeing, I think Before You Call the Cops.
Yeah.
When it hit the internet, either the first or the second time, I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah.
It had two like big rounds in the internet, and I was like, oh my God, I remember that. And so I knew who you were after, but you came to me on good word from trustworthy sources, right? So
who were some of the trustworthy sources?
Well, from Heather. Heather is who set us up. We have the same publicist, and Tyler was a brand new client for Heather. It had just been like a second old.
Yeah.
And Heather and I were in New York doing a work trip, and she was asking me if I was going to ride back to the airport with her. And I said, I'm actually going to stay an additional night. We were finished with our work. I'm going to stay an additional night. And I think I want to see a show tonight. I'm here. And I don't even have a ticket yet. I'll just go by myself. I have no problem with that at all. And I told her I said, I actually think I want to see Waitress, because Jennifer Nettles was playing the lead role at the time. And we're just sitting there. I remember we were sitting at our little outdoor seating place. And she was like, oh, what's funny? A brand new client, his name is Tyler. Oh my God, you would love him, Jen. And he's here in the city right now by himself. And I think he's going to see that show tonight. And she's like, should I connect you? And I'm like, sure. Sure. Because before I knew him, before I met him, and before I remembered that I knew who he was, I was like, oh, this is really fun. Like a single guy in the city by himself going to musical theater. He's gay. And that's fun. Let's go. Let's buddy up. like, and so Tyler, she connected us via text. Tyler bought me a ticket for the show or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It shows up in my phone, and we met beforehand. Well, this is also before I didn't know yet that he didn't drink. And I was like, let's meet for drinks before the show. And so we meet up, and I promptly order French fries because I'm real sexy.
She was really trying to impress me.
This is real hot girl behavior, and a glass of wine. He orders water, and I was like, oh, we could have talked for 100 hours.
Yeah,
there wasn't even a gap, not a single gap.
Yeah.
In conversation. It was really quick. That sort of connection was really seamless and really immediate, I thought. Am I remembering this fondly?
Let's see this. Let's ask this, because we can visualize exactly where we were.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the name of the hotel?
Yeah, Renaissance.
It was at the Renaissance. Uh-huh. Okay. So if you're ever in New York, downtown in New York City, there's like a bar there in the hotel. Mm-hmm. If you want to ever have a visual,
it's right by Broadway.
Right by Broadway. Mm-hmm. And she got there before I did, because I was staying at the hotel and I came down. She was a little early, and she'd already made friends with the server, which was we can get into that at some point. But so I walk in.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to take you. Let's try to like dissect what was happening in our heads. Okay. All right. So you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to meet this new gay black guy, and we're going to be friends, and musicals.
I only thought that maybe for like one second.
That's fine.
Like just a millisecond.
So I want to think about, so I walk around the corner, and what's from the time I walk around the corner to sit down to chat, what goes on inside of you?
Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting all this. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what I was expecting. I had no expectations. I didn't know you. I don't know what I thought, but I was like, oh, okay. This is a big, tall black guy, this good looking black guy. We've got dreads. It's just a whole situation. I think you had gold shoes on.
I may have.
Like it was a whole deal going on. And just like Tyler walks into a room and it's very, he has just a big presence in any room. So he's just going to be noticed immediately and be too cool for me.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm not cool. You know that. It's okay. You can say it plainly. And so instead, it was so easy. Like this conversation was just immediate and easy. And we have so much in common. Of course, we have a million like points of connection and crossover. And so before I knew it, we were just blathering away, and we had to go. Like it was like showtime, and we were just still sitting there on our second round of French fries.
Yeah. We did order 2 rounds of French fries.
Yeah. And Tyler was just so like engaging with the staff and the people that were walking past us. And it was just really a wonderful surprise to be around somebody whose energy was like that. And it was not what I saw coming on that random day in November. What are your thoughts?
So it was different for me because I knew what you looked like. So I knew what you looked like. And then I had Sarah, who, Sarah is like all the great parts of my life. She like helped me figure out who you were. She was like, this is who Jen Hatmaker is. And she gave me like a quick summation of the whole thing.
Sure.
And so I was like ready. I was ready to just go in and be like, okay, like I know what's up with you. I think I have some things. And I walked in, and honest to God, I was not expecting her to be as hot as she was. That is the truth. That is the honest to God truth. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm going to go with this girl. She's written a few books. She's cool. We're going to go see this play, and it's going to be dope.
Okay.
Sweet. Yay. And then I walked around the corner, and I was like, wow, Jen Hatmaker is kind of hot. This is interesting. And again, I didn't like look here and suddenly go, now I'm ready to date somebody.
Right.
Like it wasn't even like that. It was just like, oh snap. Like now we are going to be walking around New York City is like just kind of two hot people. Like, like we're adding to each other's uniqueness now. Okay. Like we came in suddenly, we're sitting at a table, and now we're about to walk out of here and go to a show and just be like, what up? And though you didn't know me,
I don't know what that means, but it's
funny. Yeah, people know. Y'all know what I mean about what up. I knew that you weren't familiar with what I did, and I wasn't familiar with your fan base. And I don't think you were familiar with mine. And I say fan base for lack of a better word, like for community, right? But in New York City, like those are like my people, and the actors, like those. That's I am the most at home when I'm in New York City in the like theater district. And so we of course we like got along really well. And I've told this story. I think I told it on Glenn's podcast, but she started talking to the server. Just the way that she saw people was really beautiful, and I loved it. And I'm that way very much so. And so like that was kind of attractive on a whole nother level. Then we went to Waitress, and we were sitting in separate seats because we got tickets like last minute. And by the time we were done, we had both kind of made friends with the people in our circles, you know? And there were some people there that night who knew who I was. There were some people there that night who knew who she was. And we just kind of walked out afterwards and had made friends with people. And I just remember thinking like, this is weird. Like, this is special. Like, there's something special happening here. Like either I just made a lifelong friend and we're going to have to meet up in New York and go see shows. Like, I don't know what's happening. And so we saw Jennifer Nettles on Friday. And then I was like, yo, stick around. I did ask her because I was like, you're cool. This was a good time. I was like, what? Stick around for a few more days. We can go see Hamilton. You like Hamilton, and we can go see my friend Megan. And she said,
look,
just tell them what you said. Now she tries to be like, here's were the reasons, but just tell me just tell them.
Oh, well, I don't know what I said. What I said is I just can't. I just can't. I had all the kids at home. And I'd already been up there for however long doing like work things. And I'm like, I can't, I got to get home. Like, we've got school, we've got the things, we got the kids. And baby, you know this, I would love to go back and change my answer.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a lie.
All of your reasons now, it's hard for me to put together because I know this. Your kids didn't need you. They did not need you that weekend. I guarantee. Nobody was at home going, Mom, come home right now.
Okay, well, I wish I could go back and change my mind.
The kids thing, I don't know, but I'm sure maybe you had something. No, I also understand me just trying to be like, no, just stay in New York 2 more days.
Right, like.
So I feel like that's something you would do.
Sometimes I don't have the degree of flexibility that you do, and so, and I didn't at the time. And also, this was surprising. I was still like, what is up here? What's happening here? And that even carried forward, right? For like that was in late November. And
even my stick around though, when I was saying like stay, it wasn't romantic at that point.
You stayed for a couple more days. I went on home, but thanks to the modern age of technology, we had each other's numbers. And so thus, let's talk about that next. You know what it was? It was actually early November that you and I met. It's the beginning of November. And let's talk about October to Christmas or so, or like right around Christmas. Like, what that was like. Because everybody's kind of like, and then what? Like, at what point did this go from, that was fun, thanks for taking me to a show, or thanks, great to meet you in New York, how weird, to like more than that.
This is where I think our stories change, because we've talked about this before.
Do you think that I've changed the story along the way?
I think our stories, we
have two different perspectives.
I think I have a very clear perspective what was actually happening at that time period.
Okay.
And you have changed your perspective because of where we've landed.
This is going to be interesting.
It is.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So I would argue to say, this is the part about being honest.
Okay.
I would argue to say that Jen may have been interested in other people. slightly, or at least was kind of filling the world out on if you were possibly interested in other people.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because I don't text with a lot of people. I text with like my best friend. We probably hang out more, so we don't text. I text with just a handful of people.
Yeah.
But it got to a point later where Jen and I were texting all the time, like and communicating all the time. But there was this weird window where like that wasn't the case. Like it might have been like, hey Jen, how are you? I'm good. Then you like 5 days later, she might be like, hey, what's going on, buddy? You know, and it was, you know, and so I had zero thought process that Jen was into me romantically. Okay. Zero. I had none. And I honestly, I felt like I was maybe like stepping on someone's, like, because we had hung out in New York and it was so damn cool. And then in real life, like it seemed a little distant, but I wasn't tripping on it, like, because we were just friends in New York. And then that changed. Yeah. Like it shifted.
All right. So it was like an interesting sort of transition. I feel like I can remember this right. You tell me if you think I am right.
Wait, let me first say this. Am I wrong that during that time period, like there was a few months after New York, a month or a half, so that you were occupied. Is that fair?
Yeah. And you and I were probably also talking maybe once a week, maybe twice. So it was just less. You're right. And so something around Christmas, well, for me, my memory is that you were in Vegas at your parents' house and you were texting me from the house funny things. Like you were sending me pictures of the family and the food. And we were talking about you hanging that TV, that huge TV. And I was like, I don't think there could be a TV big enough. And you were like, that's hot. Do you remember that?
That actually happened.
Yeah. For whatever it was, like I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, but it was like we'd clicked into just a little bit of a different gear with each other. Like, I don't know, you're sending me pictures of your mom. Like,
because I was home in Las Vegas by myself. And I think this is what shifted. I remember being at home on that trip for a few days, and our level of texting changed a lot. It did. Like in that time period, like what it felt like is that you were no longer distracted, and you now were getting I was now texting you the way I would text somebody who I was like really like knew really well. Yeah. Right. And so you were no longer, for lack of a better word, distracted. Yeah, I don't know if that's even fair to say.
I think it is.
Then suddenly you were just like in my grill. And it was Christmas time too. And she has like kids and family. And I'm just at home as like a grown man with my mom and dad. So what else am I doing? I'm just like chilling, watching whatever. And it's like Christmas Day and you're like, hey, I'm like, don't you have things to do?
Well, but it was similar to me too, because it's Christmas time for me, which meant work had kind of slowed to a crawl. Everything. I also had a little bit more time on my hands.
Sure.
So I was less distracted also by like work and hustle and bustle. And it was just mostly home. So we started texting a little bit more. And then I said, I think it was me. I was like, let's talk on the phone. Like, let's talk on the phone, like the olden days. And
no,
am I getting it wrong?
You're getting it wrong. This is what happened. I sent you my book, right? Because one, I was just like, we had become friends enough now that we're like, you need to read my book. And really more so for anybody that's read it, like it's you get to know me. And I was like, just read this and then you'll know me better. And then you started reading it. And then we were texting and you got to chapter 7, the damn it, here comes Jesus chapter. Like I was doing perfectly fine, but damn it, here comes Jesus. Right. And I actually wanted your opinion on that chapter. I was like, I want to know what you think about this Jesus, of me talking about Jesus in a book. Yeah. And I was like, text me what you think once you get through it. And then you were like, just call me. And that's when I was like, like phone call, like dialing.
Right.
And I said, like 1992. And you were like, yes, like 1992.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, well, look, all right.
Yeah. And then we talked for 2 hours. At least it might have been 3, honestly.
Yeah.
I was like walking around the yard, and it was really long. And we get to the end of that phone call and we're both like, who talks for 3 hours? What are we doing? Like, what are we even doing? Like, how do you have 3 hours to talk? How do I?
Like, why do we have 3 hours to talk right now?
And that just began like a free fall. Like, that was the beginning of just almost constant,
I think
like,
I think we had the first phone call, but then we didn't talk again for another week. Like, we probably didn't
maybe
talk on the phone for another week.
Well, and then was like, let's FaceTime. And I'm like, oh my God, let me fix my hair.
Was it you or me?
I think you did it. And I'm like, oh, I need to look cute. And so I'm like, if I care about looking cute, what's going on here? Like, what's happening? Like, and then
she looked really cute the first time we FaceTimed.
I don't even remember. I know
exactly what happened. You were sitting out on your porch.
That makes sense.
On the porch swing. And you were like way hot for FaceTime.
For sure.
I was like, what is happening right now?
Oh yeah, I definitely tried to make it sound like it was casual. My hand.
Like,
no,
just like,
no.
Yeah, I'm just
I did not. I don't even do that.
Chilling out in the sun.
Like, I don't even do that.
Guys, that's what she does when she's not around you all.
That's not what
she's
I do.
Like, this is exactly what Jen does. Hey guys.
That's God, your impression of me is the worst. And so we started, that shifted, right? Like, it started, I think, going into fast forward mode. Like, at that point, we were.
So what were we on? Almost like in February now, or where were we?
No, this was January, because we, by the time we saw each other in person, which was February.
I'm not sure. I don't know from there on. Like, from there on out, it's just a wash.
Yeah. Like, we didn't, like, at that point kind of tiptoe into the thing anymore. Right. It was like,
no, we're skipping the thing, which I think we maybe talked about before, but we had a conversation that basically was like you going, what is this?
Oh, yeah. That's right.
That's what it was.
That's right.
We had to define the relationship thing, but it was very like out of nowhere.
Well, it wasn't out of nowhere. And in my defense, we had been talking all day, every day.
We went through a phase where we were on the phone at night when we got serious. Like, we would be like when you all were sleeping, we were on the phone like wide awake for a while. But I don't know if that was there yet. But either whatever. What happened though is it got to a point where we started to go. No, she started to go. So what is this? Because remember how this whole thing started with me going, I wasn't really looking for a relationship. I wasn't really whatever. I'll be honest. There was a part of me that was just like, I kind of dig Jen. Jen kind of digs me. This is cool. And that was just kind of it. And then she was like, So what are we? What's happening here? Like, what are we about? What's going on? And I remember you sending that text because I remember me going, I have to answer this question. Like, I have to. I don't. Give me a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in the business of like wasting your time or mine.
And it wasn't, and in your defense too, it wasn't a bad thing. It was probably right. You know what I mean? It was, you weren't doing anything abnormal.
Something was happening. It just was.
Yeah.
And so I don't care who you are. You're like, something's happening between these two. And so that kind of probably also pressed fast forward on us as we sort of put a little conversation behind the whole thing. And then I just would say, I mean, I don't know, is it just fair to say that I think at that point when we were both just like, this is something, it's not nothing. It's not nothing. It's something that I don't know how you feel, but for me, it like was sort of permission to fall. I mean, I don't know, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but I was a little self-protective probably up until that point, just for good reason. And that sort of conversation of affirmation, really, from you and between us, that something was indeed there and something really was happening, gave, at least for me, gave me the sense of safety that I needed to sort of lean in. And I think we did. Like, we really did after that.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember telling you, like, I have to have conversations with the people that are close to me in my life about, like, because I've just known as being single, and me not being single, like, affects my single people. And, like, it's a lot. And you were adorable. You were like, I'm sure it'll be fine. I was like, just give me a minute. Like, us single people were like, this is serious. And as soon as I kind of like positioned myself to be open to being in a relationship and kind of dealt with my own, I had my own issues when it came to dating because of previous relationships like you had.
Yeah.
But I will say this, though. I feel like there was something about you and I coming together that those fears that I had were never really a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I ever felt those with you at all, when I still do, you know?
Like fears around like faithfulness. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, faithfulness and being secure in who you are and being secure with who I am. Like, there were just a handful of things, you know? And I just don't think I ever thought about those fears. Kind of never came into, we just kind of just jumped in.
At that point, we did.
Yeah.
So if it was a bit of a slow burn at the beginning, I think once we kind of hit that point of no return, and it was really a point of no return. Like, we it wasn't like one of us was like, yeah, and the other one was like, maybe. We just sort of both went for it, honestly. And so one thing that I wouldn't have like probably chosen, I'm not really sure. I don't have another story to compare it to, but I don't know that I necessarily would have chosen like the long distance portion of the beginning, like getting to, but the way it turned out. You're saying
you don't think you would have chosen it in another storyline?
I'm saying I absolutely said when I was preparing to like open myself back up to dating that I was not going to do a long distance relationship. I'm going to have time for that. I want somebody like in my life. I made a list, baby, and you were like, remember I said, I think it'll probably be a divorced person, going to have kids, going to live in Austin for sure. I really missed the mark.
Specific on what she wanted.
Or is real wrong.
Yeah.
But what it did force us to do is, we got to know each other. We did by talking for 40 million hours. Like, that's what we had. That's all we had. We didn't have each other in person. And so we spent so much time talking. And I don't know, to me, that ended up being like a really good foundation to build on before we ever even saw each other again in person. So if we saw each other the first time, if we met in October, you know what? Let's get the math right.
We met in November.
I think that we
didn't see each other again until like February.
Yeah, I think it was February. So important.
But November and December were just not no, like it, I don't think we became datey until like beginning of January.
That's right. That's 100% right. There you are. This is when I introduced you to the world, and this was February 20th, and that was after the fact. We had these pictures together. So we met.
Wait, was this in Las Vegas? I mean, not Las Vegas.
This is in
Nashville?
No, this is in New York.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you didn't introduce me when you were in Nashville?
No, that was the first time I told everybody I have something important and beautiful to tell you.
So
we didn't see each other until February. Again, we got together in Nashville and then we flew together to New York.
February 20th.
It was before then because I didn't say it immediately.
Yeah, you're right.
So sometime in February, I think it was right around Valentine's Day, right? Because remember I sent you luggage. Remember?
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
Luggage.
That's some dope luggage.
Day. I was like, for our travels. And so it was, what was that like for you? Because for me, it was as if.
What part?
The getting together in person for the first time after meeting.
Yeah. What was it like for you first?
Like I'd just seen you for a million times. That's how it felt. Like it didn't feel new. It didn't feel new. I mean that in a good way. I don't think I'm using the right word.
No, you're right.
But it didn't feel like
uncomfortably new.
Yes, that's what I mean. Uncomfortably new. Or like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like it was just like kind of crashing into each other. And literally. Literally. Okay, that's fine.
Whatever. Kids watch this.
Okay. But and that was in February. And here we are.
Yeah. No, it was just kind of worked because I think there was a possibility that I think that this would be a really good study on can people kind of fall for each other without having a physical relationship at all.
Yeah.
And we did. We later talked about how we're so glad that we didn't just like meet each other in New York and like made out that first time, because that's not something you would have done.
I don't think so.
No, I don't. Well, I don't know. I don't know. You're right.
I don't think so.
You may have. You may meet just somebody in an airport or whatever.
But that didn't like take us. I don't know what that would have been like had that happened. It just would have been different. And so we didn't have that. We just had
there's no way that would have happened, because especially when I was like, stay a couple more days, I was not thinking like any of that. At that point, I was just like, I'm here by myself, and this is unexpected. This would be cool.
All right, let's talk about bras for a second. Girls, we know that some of the best looking bras actually feel terrible. And the super comfortable ones have zero personality sometimes. We just shouldn't have to choose one or the other. There's a brand that created a third way called Third Love. Clever, right? Ever since I discovered Third Love, it's basically all I've worn. They've improved every bra detail, like tagless labels, slip-free straps, and fabrics that feel like a second skin. And they have so many styles, from lacy little numbers to t-shirt bras, plunge, strapless, sports bras, wireless, like even nursing bras, you guys. Third Love was created for women by women. They've literally spent years researching and designing the perfect bras that feel just as good as they look. I love that their bras and underwear are for every single kind of body. They're so inclusive. They have more than 60 bra sizes from A to H, including half cups. And Third Love guarantees that you'll love your fit. If not, exchanges and returns are free for 60 days. So break the bad bra cycle with Third Love and join more than 10 million happy boobs and counting. Take the fitting room quiz and get 20% off your first order at thirdlove.com/forthelove. That's 20% off when you shop now at thirdlove.com/forthelove.
You guys, I did a thing. I wrote a cookbook, and it's called Feed These People. And her big debut is coming in hot soon. I am so damn excited to put this cookbook in your hands. I literally cannot wait. Writing this cookbook's the most fun I've ever had. Literally a dream come true for me. I love sharing my adoration of cooking and food with all of you. And this cookbook is the cream of the crop, like my absolute best favorite sure thing recipes. We have cookbook sections like food for breakfast or brunch so you can drink, food for your picky spouse or spawn, food when you have no more dams to give. I mean, it's real food for real people with recipes like Texas migas and green chili taco cups. One that I titled risotto with whatever you have, peach corn cakes. It just goes on and on and on and on. So much. And you better believe there's a picture for every single recipe, because that's the unspoken rule of cookbooks for me. I eat and I love, and you should too. This is a win-win for all of us. Y'all, Feed These People is coming in hot October 18th, but you can pre-order it if you're extra and want all the extra pre-order goodies. Oh, we've got a whole pile for you, like freebie recipes, cooking videos, shopping lists, virtual showcase with some of the best, like most amazing women in the world that you love, and more, all the good stuff. Head over to jenhatmaker.com/feedthesepeople to get in on this. So that's jenhatmaker.com/feedthesepeople. couple more questions and then we're going to get to something kind of funny.
Okay.
Tyler, as a single guy, what were your thoughts on becoming involved with someone who had the history of being married for a long time with 5 kids?
That's a great question, but I just didn't see you like that. You know what I mean?
Told me
Like
that before.
I met you at that place and I just saw this super sexy girl. And when I say super sexy, it wasn't just how you look, like everything about your swag, everything was just like in line with kind of like who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just, whether we were going to be in a romantic relationship or not, you just you weren't carrying this heaviness, right? In fact, some of my close friends will tell you, because there was a time after New York when we very first met, somebody said to me, like, are you dating Hatmaker? I was like, I ain't trying to be with a divorced woman with 5 kids. I said that probably 3 or 4 times. But I said it in a way because that's actually who you were. But I don't think I ever put the two together that you can be that and you can also just be right for somebody.
Yeah.
And like that, your scenario didn't define who you were, right, on any level whatsoever. And granted, your relationship, your stuff is so interesting too, you know, with your relationship with your kids and how they adore you, and you know, the relationship that you came out of. And here's, I think, something I think this is important too. Because I hadn't been married before, I didn't have any like baby mama drama or ex-wife or anything like that. I came in with like a really respectful perception and like perspective of what I wanted with your ex-husband. Like I came in very like, I don't know how this is supposed to work, but I don't know what the rules are, but whatever they are, I just want to make sure that I'm as respectful to that person as possible, because I'm not trying to have any drama. All I know is that I now care about his ex and what can I do to make this respectful for all parties involved, your kids, your ex, all of that. I don't know if we should talk about that, but that's sure. And would you say that's how I came into it?
Yeah, absolutely. But the way that it was sort of my stage of life, the kids being older and some of them launched, and you know, that's it would have been different like had you come into my life and the kids were like 7, you know, that'd have been
stressed me out.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Me too. I don't want to go back.
I know.
Same.
No, I love kids and I would love them. But yeah,
you don't have to explain
we
it.
have a different situation.
Okay, here. Tyler, we know that the friends you choose as an adult when you're single are your crew and like family. How has it been to now be in a serious relationship? How are you, really, and they balancing the shift in time, energy, and focus toward this relationship?
On some levels it's easy, and some levels it's a little hard. With some of my friends, especially ones that are like married, like some of my closest friends I don't live with in Nashville, like they don't live in Nashville, so they live in New York City or live in Las Vegas. And a lot of those people are like married and have their own relationships and all of that. So it's probably really easy for them. Some of my like married friends are just like, finally, we've been wanting you to be with somebody and this is great or whatever. But then like my single friends who are like in my immediate circle, and my other problem too is most of my close friends, were being honest, are girls that have been friends in my life for a long time. It can be a little tricky just because we're it's probably a little bit easier because we aren't in the same place. So the like timeshare like has been able to ease itself into. But I think at first it was definitely weird. Like I had to keep telling like some of my closest friends, like, I'm not going anywhere. Like we're still friends and it's all good. I'm just like, I really care for this woman who I want to spend my time with. And it's good now and it's gotten better, but I definitely say at first and I'm not just saying because it's special to me. I just think being single is its own thing. We have a language, we have a rhythm, we have an understanding with like an unspoken tribe And it can get hard when someone steps out of that. And you can feel a certain way about it. I talked about this on another podcast when my best friend Mike got married. It was hard for me, like it genuinely, because him and I had lived together for most of my adult life.
Right.
And he moved out, and I don't think I ever said to him how hard it was, but it was hard, and it affected us for forever. I think it was not until I was in his wedding to where I was like, okay, this is just what life is like now. And that if you move out of the state, you should, because you're married and you have a wife. And you just, there's just fears that come along when I think the people that are close to you that are single start to kind of branch off into other things. But I want to say this to some of you, two things. Two things I want to say that I think are really important. One, for those of you who are single and have had friends go into other relationships, just know that like it's hard for them sometimes, because you're not suddenly less because somebody else comes into your life. You're still as important, you're still as meaningful to them, but so know that there's probably a little bit of a tension in them as well. Here's the other thing too. I think this is really important. Sometimes we people in relationships, we use terms like we're whole. Like when we first started dating, people were saying like, you, Tyler, are whole and Jen is whole, and you've come together as two whole people, which kind of has this implication like we're perfect, or like we don't have our issues, or like we were not in a good position before until we came together. Just know that, like, especially from the single world, we're just trying to figure this stuff out. And sometimes we get lucky and we score with someone who's incredible and fantastic when we're not looking for it. And just because of who we are doesn't make you any less. And I know there's probably some people listening to it. Why do you have to go into that? Because I think that I know that there are people that feel that, like, if you don't have something like this, for some reason you may be less. I just want to tell you that you are not. You never have been. You never could be. And you're good. Sorry.
It's all right. Good. I'm glad you said that. Stop telling everybody that you score with me.
My bad. We have this discussion all the time about how we'll be on podcasts because we both do a lot of them. And we'll never remember what we said. We feel like it's just like word vomit. And we won't even go back and listen to it because we're afraid. Yeah. So
just teasing you. Okay. One more question and then we're gonna do this thing.
Sure.
It's a game. And it's funny. Okay. Talk about what this is a big one, I guess. Talk about what you've learned about yourself and each other during your relationship so far. What's been the hardest obstacle to overcome and what surprised you the most about this time you've spent together?
You first.
Oh gosh.
Keep it real. This is your community and your people.
Learned a lot. Having spent, we arranged our adult lives so differently. I spent it with one person and one person only. And Tyler spent it with just dating around and having a lot of women in his life and never like locked in with any one of them. And so that means that we came to our relationship with completely different adult experiences. And whether we chose them or it's what we learned in our environment or both, either way, we come to the table like having different ideas about commitment and time and everything really. And so what's been great about being in a relationship with somebody who has such a different set of circumstances for me, and it's not just single and married, it's Black and it's white and it's only child, it's oldest of 4. It is vegetarian, it is hamburgers. It's no kids, it's 5 kids. Like we got a lot. Like we have a lot of really interesting differences. And I think I can say honestly that most of the time, have like been really good for me to navigate and to learn and listen to a whole nother idea and consider a whole nother way of living, to hear a different perspective, to put myself in a different scenario. Like really, I've just learned a lot in a good way. And I think it's made me less myopic and less judgmental and more curious and more interested in other experiences. And it's been really, really good for me for sure. And even the way we process things, Tyler processes things a little differently than me, and he's great. So I bring all my troubles to him, and he processes in a way that sometimes makes me mad initially. And I just tell myself it's going to feel that way. And then I'll just need to sit on it and come back to it because it's good. Like he just sees things differently than me. And so initially I want to hear that as you think I'm wrong, or you're not hearing what I'm saying. You're not listening to me, but he's just offering this, what it could be like this, or it could go this way, or maybe it was like this. And so for me, that's looked like growth.
I'm going to pause there for a second.
Okay.
In situations like that, we have some very specific situations where that takes place, but you're really good at, even in the moment, if I'm talking to you and you're like, I don't feel like you're hearing me. I don't feel like you're listening to me. I don't feel like, which isn't a lot. Like you don't really give that vibe, but you definitely like will take a conversation that we have, like go and run with it, come back to it and go, this was right. Or this was what you were saying makes sense in the concept of this, or now in retrospect, you know what I mean? Like you're really good at being able to do that.
Yeah. I've also learned, I think, that there's a different way to be in a relationship, just period. Like there's a different way to relate to somebody. There's a different way to respond. There is a way to be in a partnership with another man that just has completely different rules. And then I get to be a different person inside of it too. Like that's also a great relief that I can learn from mistakes and ways that I kind of operated that I would call like unhealthy and unhelpful in my marriage. And I get a chance to do better. And I get a chance to reinvent that part of me and decide that how and who I want to be in a relationship. And so I was just telling Tyler, I can't remember what we were talking about. I'm like, you're my practice. Like you're my relationship practice guy. This is all surprising to me. Of course, I never expected to none of this, zero of this. Like I expected to be married until I was dead. And so this is all new, and love again is new, and new relationship is new, and a new guy is new, and getting a redo when I'm older and smarter and better and wiser and kinder and is a kind of a wonderful opportunity for me. And so I don't know if I answered it. For me, the hardest obstacle, I'll finish on this and then kick it to you. The hardest obstacle for me is not the same one that I know it is for you. I know I'm not supposed to read your mind. That's one of the new rules. Don't read each other's minds. For me, the hardest obstacle turns out to be, and I don't know that I would have said this at the very beginning, that I would say it now.
Do I know what this is? Like, is this a new thing?
No.
Oh, okay.
For me, the hardest obstacle is long distance. And Tyler knows this. I just want more. Like, I just want more of you, and I want more time with you, and I want you in my life more, and I want you in my house more, and I want you, just all of it. So at the beginning, that was a kind of a comfort cushion to kind of get to know each other and still very much maintain our separate lives, really. But now I don't want to maintain a separate life. And so
it's also, when we go without seeing each other for a long time, it gets weird.
And we just came off of that. So I'm a little like verklempt around it. And so we figured
out there's like a window. Like if you're in a long distance relationship, you may know what I'm talking about. Like there's a certain amount of time that you're like, this has been too long. Yeah.
Like I don't think that's a bad happy thing to be separated from you as much as I am. And so, how about you?
I really love how much like how well we just get along and how we like see the world and how we respond to the world, and we're both funny. And what this is what I mean by we're both funny. Like you make me laugh a lot, and I think we make each other laugh a lot.
Yeah.
And our just our sense of humor is just wrong and could probably should get us canceled 28 times. And I love that we can like be very sarcastic with each other, or like kind of go into like a weird bit just out of nothing or whatever, right? And I think learning that you could have that in kind of a romantic relationship is fun, you know. I also think I'm watching you, Jen, learn how to be in a relationship with somebody else. Do you know what I mean? I mean, because you obviously are like, this is how I've been in a relationship with somebody for years and years and years and years. So sometimes you come at me like with one thing, and I'm like, I don't have. And let me just be clear when I say this. I'm not saying anybody in your life before was a certain way. I'm just saying you may come to me a certain way, and how you come to me, I may not respond in the way that you're thinking, that you think I might, right? Either you might come to me with something that you might think is really serious and deep and hardcore or whatever, and I like might find it funny. Or I might go, but wait, yeah, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. Or just take a breath, you know? So watching you and I kind of like learn how to walk kind of in a new kind of way is just really interesting to me. I think just the study of all of that as two people that care about each other, learning how to walk with each other in new ways is really good. What was the last question that was on there?
Hardest obstacle?
The hardest obstacle for me would be I know what it is. The hardest obstacle for me is you just trusting the process. And we've talked about that before. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't easy. Like, a long distance relationship isn't easy. And also, it can be weird too because of time, right? Like, it can feel like we've been together for years, and it can feel like we've been together for like a short window, you know? When the reality is we haven't been together a year. But we get to know each other more and more and more every single day. And sometimes in a long distance relationship, when it can feel like maybe we're more distant than we are, or, you know, we just have to learn how to trust the process. And I think that can be difficult sometimes. I don't even know if that's a good answer.
So my hardest obstacle is that I miss you, and your hardest obstacle is that I'm difficult.
I didn't say that exactly. That is not exactly what I said. Are we out of questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, I know your people have questions, but I'm going to create one of our own.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I think this is important. I think this is somewhere where we need to talk about. All right.
Okay.
Let's talk about you being white, me being black.
Okay.
How do you think that affects, or how is that different than what you had previously? Do you think that there's any obstacles or issues in there, or has it ever rubbed anything the wrong way? Because I think there's probably a lot of relationships, people that are in relationships like ours, and those who haven't, and I may wonder that. I just think that's an important thing to talk about. I don't know if I asked the question right, but
yeah. Well, the way that it's different from what I had before is that I was married to a white person, so that's how it's different.
That's definitely a different situation.
That is the key difference. It's interesting. I mean, you're the first Black person I have been in a relationship with. Granted, I was in a relationship in my married relationship, I met when I was 18. So we're going back to teen years, but even then. And so, so it's that piece is new, but I think because the way that my life is structured, this could be like it could potentially be whiplash or a huge, all new, brand new frontier. But for me, the way that my life is, the things that I care about, I have Black kids. A lot of the work that I do around anti-racism has at least tugged me down that road, so it's not just like, tell me.
It's not like out of nowhere.
I don't need you to explain to me code switching. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not walking me through the elementary pieces of the Black experience in America. And so, I'm pretty exposed to that just because I want to be. And so, but being in a relationship, though, is also, this is new and it's different. And I think for me, the short answer is that one way that it's really different is that in a new way, I do this with the kids, but that's in a little bit of a different context and with a little bit of a different filter. But when it's you, the person like that I love and that I'm like in a relationship with, I'm now paying attention to and assessing every room and environment I walk into differently. Like, what would Tyler experience if he was here with me? What would this feel like if you were in the room with me? Where are the Black people? What is the representation here? What's the language being used? Is this a white environment? And what would it feel like? What are the jokes being told? Like, what's the undercurrent in this room? And I would say room in any context, any scenario, social, work, whatever.
No, I think this is good. I'm so glad I asked this.
You are?
No, this is a fantastic answer.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, so that to me, it's like the light is all the way on in that room now. For me to not just slip into the luxury of just indifference, or like, I don't have to know because I'm yet again in the majority, which is almost always. And so I think it's like really run that up the flagpole for me, the awareness of what every room feels like potentially to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the first thing that comes to mind. What would you say?
Oh, well, let me ask you this. How do you feel? I'm hijacking your podcast. How does it make you feel dating a Black man in the midst of your relationships with Black women?
Mm. 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 So, because I've been in friendships with Black women for the last, I'm going to say decade, and was very like safely, if you will, like tucked into a typical white people marriage. So that pulled me out of the fray a little bit. And so I got invited sometimes behind the curtain to see what some of those conversations look like around interracial dating. And so I do know because I've heard with my ears that this can be like a really tricky emotional space. Well, really for anybody. I'm really just assigning it to kind of the source material here, but for Black women, when a like really like fantastic, single, like eligible, smart, good Black man dates a white girl, that can feel, I can't, I don't know, but that can feel tricky and it can feel hard. And so I'm tender to that. Like I feel really like sensitive toward that, not for myself, but for my like Black friends and for the Black community. And it makes me feel like I want to double down on, how I treat you and how, in a good way, and, what our shared life looks like with the choices that I make, the the partnerships that I choose, the environments that I pick,
Sure.
the causes that I care about, like the issues that I lend leadership to. It's even all the more important because I think what would feel like a real betrayal is if you dated a white woman who was willfully blind to racism and its implication on you, and it just assumed that you would make the adjustments.
I know that's a hard question. I know I pulled that out of nowhere, but I feel like there are people probably watching this who have either had to walk through that or thought that. And so you feel like on some level you carry a weird responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's all right. Do you ever feel a certain way walking in the room with me as a Black dude? Like, when you walk in the room with your big Black boyfriend, do you feel more aware than you were if you were walking in the room with?
God, I guess I should. But I don't feel, okay, maybe it's the question you're asking. I don't feel like conspicuous in a way that causes me any sort of anxiety at all, like ever. I can't think of ever, unless I felt like you were unsafe in the room, that'd be a different story.
Sure.
Like if we were in a scenario where I felt like this is not good for you, and that's different. But like in just a room, no, I mean, you're hard to miss. Let's be honest.
Right.
But I don't ever feel, the only kind of way I feel is that I'm always like proud. I'm like always proud to be with you. And I'm always glad to be with you. And I love being by your side. I'm happy you're by mine. And like, that's it. That's the leading feeling.
Oh,
yeah.
Sweet.
Well, I mean that.
Y'all may have heard, but I wrote a cookbook called Feed These People. It comes out October 18th, and I'm just over the moon about it all. But what I'm really excited to finally tell you about today is something we've been working on for months behind the scenes. And that is the All the Dish tour. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing All the Dish to a city near you from November 4th through November 10th. Y'all, it's been 3 years since I've done a tour. Now, just so you know, this is not an actual dinner party, but it is a party for sure. Complete with fantastic DJ. Obviously, dancing in your seat is highly recommended. Some super fun guests, y'all. Surprise guests who you are actually going to go crazy for. Just you wait and see who's popping in. I just can't with it. Plus, we're going to have a special Q&A. I'm talking just so much more. It won't be a party, of course, without you. So bring all your people to the event and you will leave like freshly, like inspired and entertained and connected and just all fired up, I promise. All right, find your city and get your tickets for my All the Dish tour at jenhatmaker.com. I literally cannot wait to see you there.
Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
Here's what we're going to do, guys. Okay. No, this whole thing was cooked up by my podcast team. This is the invention of Laura and her crew. The whole interview plus this. So this is going to be a version of the Newlywed Game. We're not married. We're not actually newlyweds.
Not going to go well.
Okay. If the question's directed at you, you're going to write down what you think the answer is. And when you're done, I'm going to say it out loud. Because the answer is going to be about me. That's going to ask you something you know about me. What do you think you know about me?
Okay.
You're going to write it down. And then I'm going to say what my answer is, and we'll see how close we are. Maybe I think we're going to do real medium on this. Like,
is medium like that's number 1 to 10? Is medium like we're going to do like a 5?
Is that like a 50?
That's like 50%. You think we're going to be like 50% on this?
Well, I have glanced at the questions, and I will listen. You will be able to A firmness. I did not poach any of these answers off you so I could get my answers right.
You are correct.
I didn't do it.
We are not
like,
cheating.
You'll see when there's some questions you're like, oh, she really doesn't know that. I could have been like seeding our conversations with these questions so that I would have 100 and you would have a 50, which I prefer, but I didn't. And so some things I genuinely don't know.
As an Enneagram 3, you mean?
That's exactly right.
By the way, how much I cared about the Enneagram before Jen? 0.
Well, guess how much you care now? 100. Here we go. Ready?
Sure. This is going to not go well.
Honestly, baby, I don't even know what I'm going to say to this first answer, and it's my own brain.
Oh,
that was a good catch.
Thanks. I just feel like if you don't even know what you're going to say, how am I going to get it right?
I'm going to change it up just a little bit to give you a shot at getting it right.
This is just
no. I'm tilting it. The odds in your favor. I'm going to ask it like this. Either what is Jen's favorite jam or her favorite type of music?
Oh, God.
Okay. I'm not going to look at what you say, so I can't cheat. An Enneagram 3 would cheat if it could bring her an A.
Okay. This is either dead on or not.
Okay. All right. Tell me when you're ready for me to say my answer.
The writing on here is horrible.
No, it isn't, baby. You have such good handwriting.
No, not on this. This is bad. This is bad. This is just
well, one thing to know about him is he has really pretty handwriting, like a girl, like an absolute girl handwriting.
Those of you who read my book, you know why.
Okay.
All right.
I would say 90s country.
90s nice. Country. What?
Good.
Let's go.
Okay. My turn.
I got specific with the women's country, which I think is actually,
and that's actually
probably more true.
That's more true. Okay. Jen, same as above for Tyler. Either favorite song or favorite type of music. Now, what it says is favorite jam.
Type of music?
Can I lead my own witness?
You can, but that's hard with me.
I know
that's like I do not think you are going to get this right. I don't even know.
I have a song in my brain that you told me early on when we were like building our little playlist together, that it was your jam, like your fired up jam. Like you're like, this is what I put on. Let's go. I'm basically giving you the answer.
Wait. Are you saying this is? Are you saying a song? One song that gets me going.
Yeah. Just hold on. I'm gonna write what I think. And you did tell me.
Just let me say this.
Okay, I'm just gonna say.
Let me say this. The million times we've talked about music.
Yeah.
If this is correct, you all need to know this is like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Especially if you know anything about me.
Yeah, you're all over the place on music.
All over the place. Just listen to the playlist.
I don't feel like I asked you the question right.
No, I'm going to go. I'm going to give you an answer. I'm going to give you an answer based on kind of what you said to me. And this is what I'm going to say.
Okay.
The answer to the question is based on what you just said right now.
Okay.
Is Big Sean fire? That was good, but just based on kind of what you said.
I led the witness.
You led the witness a little bit.
Okay, a little bit, but we haven't discussed that in I don't even know how long.
And forever. But you know that I made you're a fan of that song.
Yeah, I know. I know it all now. Here, this is
it's a rap song, okay. like legit.
This is exciting. This is for me, and I actually know.
Wait, this is your question? Wait.
It's mine, and I actually know the answer. Jen, what is a word that makes Tyler cringe? I know this, and you said that I can't say it. You hate it. You literally hate it. This should be so obvious to you.
Oh my God, there's so many. I have like a handful of words.
You're unambiguous about this one. Think about it.
Oh God, I have words.
Think about it. And I've said it before, and you're like, you know what you just said?
Oh my God. I just don't.
It's too much pressure.
It's too much pressure.
Okay,
it's too much pressure.
I hope you get it.
Wait, no, wait. Give me a genre.
Okay.
Because I can't think. I'm like so off.
That's fine. Okay. It would be primarily a girl related word. It's not dirty.
Wait, there's a lot. Now I'm thinking about a lot of them.
It's not dirty.
Okay.
So cross all those off your dirty mind.
Is it panties? Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay.
How did that not come immediately?
Because there's 3 P words that I hate.
Okay, well.
There's 3 P words that I hate.
Easy. Okay. Tyler, I don't know that I've ever said this to you, so we were just shooting in the dark.
It's okay.
What's a word that makes Jen cringe? I don't even know if I've ever said this to you. Do you feel like we've ever had this conversation?
No, I don't think we've ever had this.
Let's skip it because honestly, it's not your lack of knowledge. I don't think I've ever said because you went off on the panties like tirade, and I was like, God, get some counseling. I don't think I added to it.
They need to think of a better word for women's underwear when you're an adult. Is what I'm trying to say. That's not. Sounds like it's not. No, this is bad. Okay. Well, what is your word?
I don't know really.
Then if you don't really even know, that's
right. We're gonna skip that question because it's not that we've ever had that conversation and you forgot. Because like I 100% knew about panties.
Yeah, and then
Okay, Jen, we know that Tyler is a vegetarian. What is Tyler's favorite vegetable? Is it cheese?
Are we actually talking about vegetables?
Yeah. Is it tortillas?
My favorite.
Is it Doritos? Don't
vegetable.
say.
Not like fruits and vegetables are different.
Yeah, that's a correct. Tyler's the worst vegetarian.
I'm the worst.
Absolute.
I'm the worst.
Okay, I'm gonna go with just what my experience is. Okay?
Sure.
I don't even think you're gonna say this, but
did you already? Are you done writing it?
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
That was that short. Like I feel like what I'm gonna say is not enough.
You're trying to listen to my scratching.
I just said I think I've come up with an answer based on our current situation. But I don't think you wrote enough out. I'm gonna say Brussels sprouts.
Oh, damn it. I should have picked that. I picked this because it's in your actual fridge.
Spinach. That's not a bad guess. But I just don't love it like how you do.
Right, but you did buy it for
I did
2 weeks.
I did. But like if we go out to a restaurant or something, if there's like Brussels sprouts,
yes,
I'm like,
right. Exactly right.
But she's like, when I mentioned I like spinach, she was like, oh my gosh, I love spinach. You know how Jen does. She was like, oh, give me all this spinach with her hands like this.
So much. Oh, I know how you do that about me. I know how you do that. Okay. Tyler, this is too easy. This is
for
such
me?
a layup. Yes. We know you don't drink, but Jen's been known to have a libation or two. What's her favorite adult beverage?
But I feel like it would be a better question if there was a specific,
but it's okay. It doesn't have to be.
Because I would be horrible at it. Is this the time to tell them?
Oh, yes. This is so the time. Obviously, the answer is wine, which he wrote. He knows. This is a real good time to tell you that the last time Tyler and I were in New York, he has a really terrible habit of eating garbage food at like 2 a.m. And so we're like back in our hotel and it's late. I mean, it's like, I don't even know.
It's after midnight.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to go get some snacks.
At the Food Emporium.
Which
Red
means
fans, you know.
This means like you got Rolos, remember? Because I put that idea in your head, like from my dad. Anyway, it doesn't matter because he meant well. That's the important part. He was going to do something nice. And he's like, oh my God, you know what? I'm here at the Food Emporium. And while I'm getting myself Sour Patch Kids, I will get Jen wine because she loves it. And that is a nice boyfriend thing to do.
Can you guys, your boyfriend's like, I'm going to go out and get some Rolos and some wine for my lady. And I don't even drink.
That's right.
Give me your best wine.
That's
sir.
right. I was having a bad day and I just was joking around. I texted him, I'm like, please send wine. And he had some wine delivered, but he just told the guy, can you just pick it? Because I don't know. So Tyler comes back to our hotel with a bottle of wine cocktail. And it is in a wine looking bottle. But I was like, what is this? Like it's a mess. Is
that
what
is
it
not
is.
what happened.
Oh no, that's exactly what happened. It's called wine cocktail,
and
it's full of sugar. And I said, baby, do you know what this is for? This is for communion in the kindergarten Sunday school class. That's what this is for.
First of all, that is what happened, meaning that I did come back with wine cocktail. That is a true story.
Yeah.
But Jen did not. I did not hand her the wine cocktail, and she looked at me and went, "Baby, what is this?"
I was nicer than that.
She was so much nicer.
Yes.
She let me think I had won the lotto. Like I brought it, set it down. She was like, "Huh?" And I bought an opener. I bought a ball opener because
God, you did.
Right. I bought a ball opener.
Really
I'm like winning the lottery here. I'm like, came back with wine. She was just like on the couch, like.
It was so sweet. Like, it was so thoughtful. And, thoughtfulness for me goes a long way. It can be a trash in execution, but the thoughtfulness part, and I was like, this is so sweet of you. A fun fact about this wine cocktail is that the first ingredient is fruit juice. And the second ingredient is sugar.
It looked, if I brought the bottle, and it even said like a Chardonnay or what did it? One of
Cabernet
those.
Sauvignon, which you knew that's my favorite kind.
I knew that.
You knew that. And you were like, it said Cabernet Sauvignon. And I said, cocktail.
Why would a bottle that looks like wine,
cocktail,
smells like wine, looks like, say, Chardonnay, Cabernet, whatever on it?
It was rough. And then I thought, maybe I'll be a good girlfriend and just drink a little bit of it. And I poured a little bit of it. And I made such a face. You were like, you're exaggerating. I'm like, you taste it. And he wouldn't. And you're the better man for it, to be honest with you. Okay.
Skin is fun.
Okay, you ready for this one?
Yeah.
Tyler, as a child, I've told you this. I hope you can dig. What did Jen want to be when she grew up? I had an alternative career.
I think
let's see. Had an alternative career. Okay.
I think I knew this.
Okay. Okay, right. This is right. Let's see if we got it. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Librarian.
Close.
Okay, you were close.
Close. But you were a teacher.
Remember, I said librarian, and you'd be the sexiest librarian.
Oh, you would.
Remember?
Would you wear your hair up and like pull it down?
Yeah, and glasses. You know what I'm saying? Like librarian glasses. Okay. It's my time to answer that for you. Same question. As a child, what did Tyler want to be when he grew up? As a kid. That's where I'm going. Yeah. My brain's going kid. Okay.
I'm going to give you an example of what I want to be. I'm Tyler T. That's who I be. I'm the MIC. So you can't beat me. I'll be a rapper.
Damn it. I said baseball player.
Oh,
that was a pretty good answer, right?
That was a good answer.
Yeah.
That was, you book people probably were like baseball player. No, you might have been rapper.
It could have gone either way.
But
I wasn't way off here. This is a theme.
No, that was not far off.
Okay.
That's what my dad wanted me to do.
I know. That's why I said it. Okay.
My turn?
This is the last one.
This is the last one. Like, I feel like
we're gonna speak this one because maybe we can write this one. Okay. Finally, also you've done really good. We'll do a twist on our favorite Barbara Brown Taylor question. So we'll start with you because you got the mic. Tyler, let's see. Yes. What do you think is saving Jen's life right now? You know how I asked that question at the end of my podcast? Yeah. Saving your life right now. So what do you think is saving my life right now?
I'm actually going to give an answer that you're not going to give. You're not. I'm going to give an answer you're not going to give.
You are?
Yeah. But I don't think you're going to disagree with this answer.
Let me just think for a second.
That's fine. I'm going to give an answer that I actually think I'm going to give, and you're going to go, that's actually the answer I should have gave. Just tell me this. Are you being like kind of sincere and earnest, or are you being funny? I'm just being honest. I'm sincere. Sincere is fine. I am answering the question genuinely. Like, what do I think is giving me life right now? My answer is the answer, is all I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
So whatever you answer is wrong.
College football. I thought you were going to head in that direction.
No, but I'm going to say an answer that's right. And you're going to kind of sink down a little bit when I say it.
It's going to be sweet?
It's just going to be honest. It's just the truth.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah. Oh, that's nice, baby.
I know. It's the truth, though.
You know what? We should be reading these, because what if nobody's watching us and they don't know what we write? What he wrote was Remy flourishing. God, that is really true. Damn it.
I know. I'm right.
The reason that he's saying that is because Remy Hatmaker has been in Spain now for 4 days. And the amount of worry that I have had around this is endless. And Tyler's been the receiver of all of it. And she's had such a good week. And
that's the answer.
Yeah. Her family. Anyway. Yeah, you're right. Fine. So now I'm going to say, what do I think is saving your life right now? You're not that romantic, so you're not going to give me a romantic answer. Like that.
Damn it, you're so right.
You're just not.
Yeah.
And your other good things that romance skipped you.
Yeah. Which is making me sound like I'm not romantic. It's not that I'm not romantic.
Baby, you're not romantic.
You're not wrong, but I just feel like I feel like if I was super romantic with you, you would be like that all the time, like this. inside, you'd be like, that's how I feel like.
That's not how I would be. And first of all, you don't know because you've never tried. So how about you give that throw that against the wall and see how it goes.
I just thought of an answer.
You did?
Yeah. And it's just probably the truth.
Okay.
But I don't think you're gonna get it. Yeah, I really don't think you're gonna get it.
I think you'll like my answer and you'll be like, that's also true.
Okay.
Okay.
What's saving my life right now is my kids' book coming out in a few days. A Door Made for Me. I'm really excited about that. Yeah. That's kind of saving my life right now. And I was to be clear, before you said I wasn't romantic, I was going to say you.
You were not.
No, skip that.
You were not going to say me.
Well, I guess we'll never.
There was literally a 0% chance in the whole world.
I guess we will. I guess we'll never know now.
Maybe.
We'll never know. That's history that is now made.
I'm not going to say that.
What did you say?
I said it was walking.
Damn it. I honestly, that was my first thought.
Yeah.
That was my first, you would have got that right. Yeah. That was my actual first thought.
Baby, how many times have you told me that's where I think, that's where I process, I don't have my boot anymore?
Honestly, I genuinely thought to myself, walking, because I walked today.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chloe, who you saw me but didn't say hi, but later messaged me. But I was legit like thinking that, and then I thought, no, you know what? I'm kind of like
plugging my book instead.
It's not that. It's not that. I'm just kind of excited about that.
I know.
You keep forgetting that that's happening in a few days.
I do not keep forgetting that. I 100% do not forget that. I'm not. I am. Okay. That was more information than any living humans could ever want to have about us.
And if you are still listening to this, you are our people. Like we could hang out.
Yeah, and they'll be like, well, you know what? Most people dropped off after about 22 minutes.
22, that's really like giving a lot. I feel like more like 7.
That's right. Average listening duration, 7 minutes.
Which is also what I think is really funny about the both of us is how so not interested we think people are in our actual lives.
That's largely boring. Our lives are largely boring.
Largely.
What did you do today? I did work. What'd you do? Same. I did some Zooms.
Granted, our work's interesting, but it's amazing that people are interested in what we do.
Yeah. And they'd be mostly disappointed. Like, oh, so you're just kind of like walking around living your lives. Yes, that's exactly right. We went and got food. We were thinking about seeing a movie tonight.
Right.
Woo. Call the presses.
Super exciting.
Alert the press. Thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
I hope you loved that. Oh, he's so great. And he's just meant so much to me. This year has been so surprising and so special. And I'm just a fan. I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of us. I'm a fan of this relationship at this stage of life. And I'm just really grateful for all I've learned and experienced that I didn't see coming, that I certainly never expected, but that has been like beautiful and marvelous. If you don't already follow Tyler everywhere, go run, make haste, like follow him on all the socials. He is just as funny and delightful and wonderful as you think. And his leadership in the world's really important. The things he cares about matter so much. And I'm just proud of him. I'm proud of who he is. And so proud to be sort of partnered up with him too. And so we'll link to all of his socials. If you go to jenhatmaker.com under the podcast tab, you'll have this whole episode. And then I'll have links to his books and his socials and all the things. You can find it in one spot. Anyway, you guys, thanks for hanging in for this whole relationship, sex, and dating series. We have loved your feedback. And we could always tell when something hit a nerve or something was like underrepresented, and we got to talk about it in this series. That was my favorite, when people said, thank you for talking about this. This isn't a thing. This isn't a conversation I hear a lot, or this isn't a centered conversation. And so we really thought about that as we built this series out. Every kind of angle we could possibly think about wrapping around this series. And so we love your feedback. We always listen. So when you comment, when you tell us something, when you give us anything at all, we pay attention. So we really appreciate your feedback on this. So anyway, you guys, cute, Tyler. All right, new series starting next week. Don't miss it. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, do it wherever you listen to them. Okay, it'll come in hot next week for you. Brand new series. Can't wait. See you then.